I don't have much of a statement. It's great weather here in Los Angeles, so I'll just take questions.
All right. So we'll start right here in the orange, please. Hold on one second.
Shannon Russell, Cincinnati Enquirer. Chris, the last time D played in a Sweet 16 was his freshman year. When do you think he really turned the corner and became the player he is now as a point guard? I mean, that first experience he was playing behind Two Holloway. Was there a game or a certain year even that he really began to develop into what he is now?
Well, I think it's just a natural evolution. I don't necessarily think one game, D became, who he is today. I think, like every good player, you have peaks and valleys. You continue to get better as your career unfolds. I think his sophomore year was one of great learning. He was with a team that wasn't as talented. He was a full-time starter. He played a lot of minutes. He saw tons of different styles of play, had a lot of challenges. And then last year as a junior, we jumped leagues to the Big East, which put D in front of a lot of bigger point guards, a lot bigger challenges, if you will. And I thought, he did a tremendous job as a junior. I think he became even more comfortable a year ago. And then this year it's really been D's team, along with Matt. But you're arguably always going to be led by your point guard. And although D's maybe not the most vocal point guard, he has gotten louder as the year's gone on. He's always been extremely tough. He's been overmatched at times with size, but not with heart.
We're going to go here in the blue shirt, and then we'll go fifth row.
Rob Gloucester with Bloomberg News. Coach, are you surprised that you're the only Big East team to make it this far in the tournament, given the fact that the conference had 6 teams in and some pretty high seeds?
I am extremely surprised. We saw those teams on a nightly basis within conference play. I'd have bet $1 to a donut that Villanova would have been standing this week. But, that's how the tournament works sometimes. In 1 minute, out the next. But I am surprised. Again, when you have 6 teams, you would think that a couple of them would survive and advance, as they say. But didn't happen. It doesn't mean those teams didn't have terrific years and weren't excellent teams. It just didn't happen for them in the tournament. We're just glad that we're still standing here.
We're going to go right back here with the tie, please.
Coach, Jason Barr, KGUN 9, the ABC affiliate in Tucson, Arizona. We cover the U of A. What's your current relationship with Sean Miller, and how often do you guys speak?
My current relationship is a good one, is a healthy one. I think when you're in our profession, you don't have a lot of free time to chit-chat on the phone and, socialize and go on vacation together. Maybe if maybe we're in a different line of work. But Sean's been instrumental in my career. He's always been a mentor, whether it was when I was working for him, with him, or now that he's a couple thousand miles away. There's not a challenge that I don't bring to him if I'm struggling with something. But, again, I don't talk to a lot of people on the phone. You get tired of, I talk to my coaching staff. I talk to my family. I talk to a heck of a lot of recruits. I get sick of being on the phone. So a lot of times my relationship with Sean during the season is one of text messaging. And out of the season, it's more, a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more open lines of communication.
Here in the front, purple shirt, please.
Thinking back on your time at Xavier as a player, now as a coach, how have the expectations around the program kind of helped, in terms of the success factor? And with the move to the Big East, have things changed any? I didn't introduce myself. I'm sorry. I'm Raphael Johnson, NBC Sports.
Raphael, that's a great question. I would say that, ever since Bob Stack and Pete Gillen, along with some great players, guys like Byron Larkin and Tyrone Hill and Derek Strong, really put Xavier on the map. The expectations for Xavier basketball have been extremely high. And, guys like Skip Prosser, Thad Matta, Sean, carried the torch and simply elevated the program to new heights. And our fan base has come to expect getting to the NCAA tournament and that not even being acceptable to advance. And I think it's been a natural progression for our program to go from the MCC, which is now the Horizon League, to the Atlantic 10, which was a great move at the time for Xavier, and now to a conference that is arguably one of the best basketball conferences in the entire country. It's a hefty bar at Xavier.
We're on the striped shirt in the fourth row, please.
Matt, hi. Chris, hi. David Moore with USA Today. Could you talk about Matt Stainbrook's season? It looks like he had a little bit of a lull, at least offensively, toward the end of the year, and then has rebounded somewhat. Can you talk a little about what was going on there?
Yeah, I think there was a point in time where Matt lost his confidence a little bit. And I said at the time, really surprising, because Matt's done it for a long period of time. He's been such a great player at Western Michigan for 2 years. He sat out as a transfer and was dominant in our practices. He had a terrific year last year, was named preseason All-Big East. And so for a guy like that to really lose his confidence was surprising. Now, he didn't lose it for a long stretch, and understand that he is 1A on the scouting report of every team we play. But there isn't a defense that Matt hasn't seen. Teams that really crowd him from the perimeter, teams that trap him with the other post, teams that trap him off the dribble, trap him on the catch. And it was really good to see him rebound when his back and our team's back was against the wall at Creighton. That was, for us, a huge game. For our team to have the opportunity to play in the NCAA tournament, we needed to win at Creighton. At least that's what we thought at the time. And for Matt to go 26 points against a team that was crowding him gave not only Matt, but the rest of his teammates the confidence to say, hey, Matt's back. But I was surprised that he went through that little bit of a lull that you talked about.
Shannon, go ahead.
Chris, what do you see as the biggest challenges in Arizona?
Usually when I watch tape, or we watch tape as a staff, you can point to a few weaknesses. You can say that this team doesn't do a good job in this certain area, whether it's transition defense, whether it's communicating switches defensively, whether it's they don't guard post players very well. That's the thing that really comes across when you watch Sean's team on tape. They don't have any weaknesses. Some may say that they're not a very good three-point shooting team. I do know that when you leave Gabe York open and you leave Stanley Johnson open, they make shots. T.J. McConnell has become a much better shooter throughout his time, so I don't buy that argument that they're not a great shooting team. They may not be Villanova from the three-point line, but they're not a bad three-point shooting team. So to me, there's just not a weakness that you see on film. Their strengths are obvious. Their size, their athleticism, their ability to rebound the ball is as good as any team in the country.
Very back, please.
Yes, Chris. Steve Rivera, Fox Sports Arizona. Those of us who cover Sean Miller see a serious, intense guy, typically. Could you talk about maybe the other side that we don't see, the funny side, if he has one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Sean has a funny side. No, he does, and I could share a few stories that may either get him embarrassed, maybe even arrested, but I won't do that. I'm kidding about the arrested part. He's got a dry sense of humor. He's a funny guy behind closed doors, but not very often. Not very often. He's ultra serious, too serious. He needs to loosen up.
We'll go right there, right in front of him, and then we'll go on the far aisle.
Zach Brazil, New York Post. What stands out to you about McConnell, the season he's had, and how important he is to their team?
He just doesn't beat himself. He's evolved. Obviously, we played against him when he was at Duquesne for a couple of seasons, but he was young. He had some big challenges when he played our teams in Tu Holloway and Mark Lyons, but his pull-up game is tremendous. He does a great job of getting in the lane, getting his teammates shots, keeping everybody happy. But a lot of times when you play against a set-the-table type point guard, they can't score. They just can't. They've always been a pass-first guy, and they end the game with maybe 3 points and 11 assists, but they can't score, and you want to force them to do that. And TJ has shown that he'll make big shots in big moments, take big shots, and that's, to me, the sign of a ultra-tough point guard, is the ability to score when his team needs it and do that. He's tremendous on the defensive end. He takes as much pride on that end of the floor, probably even more so than he does on the offensive side. And, he's a stabilizing force for their team.
Go on the far left, please.
Chris, Bruce Pasco with the Arizona Arizona Daily Star in Tucson. I was wondering if you guys did text at all this week. It went back and forth with Sean, or was it a moratorium for the week, or how did you guys handle that?
You know, I was waiting to see, Sean reach out because it's like Sean to let him reach out first in these type of situations, and he did. And it was more of a congratulatory text, and it really wasn't a very long text. He just said he was excited to see my wife and kids and completely pushed me to the side. So that was about it. And then I saw him here about 15 minutes ago, caught up with him.
I'm going to go in the third row on the aisle.
Greg Hansen, Arizona Daily Star. Do you have a good story that
You guys got a lot of, news coverage in Arizona. It's amazing. We have Shannon Russell from the Cincinnati Enquirer here, but sorry.
Do you have a good story you can tell about the tattoo on your calf?
No, that's a dumb story. Yeah, that's a real dumb story. We won't go into. I may eventually get that removed, but no.
All right, we're going to have the last question right here in the middle, please.
Roger Rubin, New York Daily News. Chris, I'm sure that when the conference tournament ended in New York, you didn't think that you guys would be the only Sweet 16 team from the Big East. What do you think happened to the rest of the conference?
Well, I didn't have a chance, to watch the other teams play in our conference. We played. I think a couple teams played right around the same time, and again, a lot of times in tournament play, it's all about matchups. And I was surprised. I knew NC State because we had played them a year ago. Has a ton of talent on the floor, and we knew that. But just seeing Villanova up close, and maybe Villanova is just a bad matchup for us because of the way they stretch the floor, and we're not the most mobile when it comes to our post players. But that, to me, was the most shocking final score of all of them. Obviously Butler played a terrific team in Notre Dame, one of the best teams in the ACC, the best offensive team, if not one of the top 3 or 4 in the country. And so, I could see where tough matchups, hard to advance. You're playing all really good teams, but the likelihood that all 5 of the 6 teams would be out, I just didn't see that coming because our league was much stronger this year, was much more experienced this year than it was a year ago. And so, it's, like I said before, it was shocking. To me, none greater than the Villanova. I really thought that Villanova was going to be in the final game this year. That's how talented, how together, how well coached, and how hard playing they were. But it just goes to show, our team and any team left here of the 16, that anything can happen on one particular night. We don't have to be better than Arizona for 5 months. We have to be better than Arizona tomorrow night for 40 minutes.